Yes, I want to talk about the problem of data security, not just in the context of crypto assets, which is a huge problem, as we know, but also in the wider context of enterprise, banks, insurance companies, and so on. So every day we have massive data breaches that are being publicized. Actually, for every data breach that is publicized, there's probably 1,000 that is not publicized, and it's a problem that affects every single company out there. And whilst I don't want to go through the various types of breaches that happen, I think it's a very well-known fact that most of the breaches, whether they are malicious or they are based on errors, are based on a human intervention along the way. So I'm quite excited about being able to talk about a technology which is based on distributed ledger technology, on blockchain, to actually solve that problem, or to vastly diminish the number of breaches out there by using the blockchain cleverly. So I just wanted to run you through how that can be done, and that is being done today. But first, one thing I have to say is the problem of human intervention is also the problem of centralization. So every single database out there, or data repository or custodian, actually centralizes data in the cloud or on-premise. So centralization is the problem of data breaches. At the core, that's why we see these breaches every day. And it's a little bit like, the shark who's obviously out there looking for the seal, a very clever animal. The seal is on his own, the shark can get at it. However, the analogy I want to make here is that if actually a shoal of fish is out there, the shark cannot get to all the fish at once. So it's a pretty basic concept, but the concept of the safety being dispersed, which we take for granted in many other walks of life, but actually in the industry we're in, we actually don't seem to have grasped that this is actually the solution, that there shouldn't be any single point of attack for data, there shouldn't be any human intervention for data, and we should use actually distributed ledger technology to actually solve this. So, a technology that fragments data, any type of data, customer database, it could be crypto assets, it can be any contract or any sensitive information. Fragmenting the data and encrypting those fragments, distributing those fragments across multiple nodes, across multiple geographies, so that there isn't a single point where the data sits whole in any particular server in any particular place. So encrypted fragment effectively dispersed across multiple servers, public nodes, private nodes, on-premise, in the cloud. It's all about distributing the fragments across multiple nodes. The ability to have resilience built in, whereby one doesn't need to have all the nodes active to be able to recombine the original data. The ability to also control the authorization, the access to the data through smart contracts. So where the blockchain fits in here, and in this particular case of Keybox, the blockchain is called Active Ledger, a permissioned private blockchain today, to be able to control and audit every single aspect of the data flow, so that there's no human intervention necessary to actually manipulate or use the data. And the other thing I would like to say around the distributed ledger technology here is that we are able, for once, to actually have a machine-to-machine flow of data. So what I mean by that is that when I'm actually authorized to recombine data, I'm using a specific key to do so. The data fragments are being recombined on my machine. So these fragments come from different servers, come back on my machine. What that means is that, again, we have eliminated the point of attack or the vulnerability around the data flows. So smart contract to manage data flows and the authorization and the controls, audit trails, immutable transaction record around every single point of interaction with the data. The data itself is actually sitting on multiple servers as fragments, as I said, and can be destroyed when that is necessary. So it's obviously a business-to-business proposition. It can actually also be applied to us as consumers or small businesses and consultants and funds, legal firms, and so on and so forth. But I just wanted to run through a few of the benefits here of distributed data storage. The first one is that we have increased immunity to attack. The resilience is based in the technology. It's actually the RAID type of resilience that we know in the old world, non-blockchain world, actually adapted to the blockchain. But also the ability to, unlike cold storage, which is the analogy a lot of you would probably think of, this is immediate access to the data. So it's actually cold storage benefits from a security standpoint without any of the drawbacks of cold storage from an access standpoint. The guarantee that each transaction is recorded, the ability therefore to actually recreate keys, for example, when keys are lost, because every single interaction that a user may have had with Keybox in this case, within the firewall of his company is actually recorded through smart contracts. The ability to integrate a technology like Keybox within the firewalls of the company through an API and actually built on the technology through SDK. And last but not least is in the context of GDPR and the equivalent legislation in California and other countries, the ability to ring fence the data within a territory, which is very important as we all know. So the typical enterprise use case that we see and we obviously have validation points against for the decentralization of data storage and the data transfers is obviously the securing of customer data in the context of open banking and PSD2. In the financial world is the securing of AML and KYC data, particularly exchange of data between banks and organizations, recovery of access keys in the context of crypto exchanges, and of course the safe storage of any data through the cloud. Now the picture of decentralized data security is actually one which is becoming quite interesting because it has started effectively with very centralized type of security protocols and organizations catering for the crypto world on the left-hand side of my chart here, and so obviously that's not everybody. Then you started to see in the bottom right of the slide decentralized solution being built for the consumer world with a consumer focus, and now what you started to see is the emergence of decentralization as the core concept for enterprise use case. So as I said, I'm super excited about this technology because this is a very strong use case for blockchain. In our case, the permission blockchain, which can then become part of public blockchains in the future when some of the attributes around territoriality and scalability are proven on the public blockchains. On that note, I just wanted to leave you that thought that there is safety in dispersed, specifically for data security. Thank you. Enjoy the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alain. Much appreciated.